Well, kids, welcome to another episode of Rimshots with Sean, brought to you by Barstools and Bandtalk. I have a treat for you folks. Anybody that's a drummer, you're going to know this lady. She's absolutely incredible. We have Dorothea Taylor, all the way from, is it South Carolina or North Carolina?
South Carolina.
Awesome. So you and I had a funny kind of exchange at the beginning, which I think is incredible. I asked you to come on the podcast, and it was like, "Have your sticks ready. I'm going to do my sky." You were ready to do a lesson, so you're heavy duty into lessons, right?
I am. Yep. I thought you were one of my students.
So how many students do you have, Dorothea?
I have right now. I have 12.
12. And I
Yes,
guess with the modern technology, you can literally do them from anywhere.
that's right. Mm-hmm.
So,
And you just have
sorry,
to
go
get
ahead.
used to it. You have to get used to it because there is a delay. But once you get used to it, they can follow me. I can't necessarily follow them, but then I let them do their own thing after we've played together. I just ignore that delay, and I know that they're playing along with me. So it took a while during COVID, to get rid of that wondering if it was working or not, but it's been working.
So now your students are they at, I guess, all levels? From advanced to
Yes,
beginner.
yes, all levels. I do have a lot of beginner ladies.
Well, no, that's interesting.
Yes, yes, but
So
then
obviously, you made some strides there. You've been on Drumeo, you've been on YouTube, you've been on some different things. Um, I had a friend today. I told them that you were going to be on, and they were like, "She just came out of nowhere." And I'm like, "Okay, if you hear her play, she's just not. She hasn't just come out of nowhere." So for anybody that doesn't know about you, what's your background?
well, I started playing in a drum and bugle corps back when I was in eighth grade. I joined, and you have to learn. So that first year, it was a feeder corps. It was called a feeder corps that feeds up into the older kids when they age out at 21. And so I marched with them for 6 years. And so by the time you do that and you practice 8 to 10 hours a day all summer long, and then we practiced 3 hours twice a week in the wintertime in the snow in upper Michigan. Uh, you know, you're bound to develop chops, but I just didn't let my chops go. I didn't let them go away. Even though I got married and I had 3 children, I still found students and I still went to the schools around here. I still do all the different schools in the county and help out their drum lines. So I keep up my chops and I try to anyway. And then I've played in a bunch of different bands over the years. And
Um,
my
Sorry, the unfortunate thing up here, we don't have a lot of drumline up here in Canada. It's
You
unfortunate,
don't.
and I've often seen people down there. I mean, obviously, college football and different sorts of competitions, and it's incredible the different disciplines. It's not just snare, it's
Oh,
bass, it's toms, it's cymbals. It's
oh,
um,
yeah.
did you get kind of a flavoring of all of it?
Well, I was lucky enough to play snare. I played cymbals the first year when I was in eighth grade, but after that, I played snare every year. I just worked hard, and I surpassed kids that were in there in a year or two because I loved it so much. I loved practicing, and I wanted to get better and better so that I could get on the snare line. And so I did march snare for like 5 years, 5 out of the 6 years.
Um, I'd be interested to ask. I've asked a number of people this, and I'm a drummer myself, and I when I grew up learning, like stick control was one of the books that they said, learn this. Um,
Yes.
I've talked to people who are like, you know what, rudiments not so much, stick control not so much. I've talked to other people, it's important. What's your thought on it?
It's like learning your ABCs. If you don't study out of stick control, you really have no idea what drumming is about because it takes you through all the important aspects of stickings. And that's why it's called stick control. Your rights and your lefts in combinations, and then it goes into flams. And so you're not a drummer that plays singles for everything that they do, every fill, because they don't they've never studied rudiments. Now, if you talk to Steve Smith or Dave Weckl or, Thomas Lang or any of those guys, they all can play rudiments like crazy
Right.
because they studied rudiments, and that's why they're so good, because they know how to put them onto the kit. So that's why I try to, make these videos and just inspire people to show them, okay, this is a 6-stroke roll. This is how cool it sounds on the kit. 6-stroke roll is not just for orchestral, classical or whatever, or marching band. It's for the kit as well. And so are a lot of the other rudiments.
I'd also be interested to find out, I guess, your methodology, your technique. Because when I was learning, I started playing about 11. I had a teacher who was amazing. He kind of he taught me the stuff that I wanted to learn, but he put in what was necessary. And then I had another teacher who, no, it's got to be this way. And I didn't find it fun. I found out later on in life I had ADD, and that was a lot of it. But I'd be interested to find out your methodology in terms of how you teach your students.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because if I get a young person, especially, and I can tell that they do not want to sit still and work on paradiddles, we will get right onto the drum set. But before that lesson is over, because my lessons are an hour long, we still have to go through the fundamentals. And sometimes just going on the drum set and showing them something, they'll be stiff and their hands can't do it. And then I can say, well, if we go to page such and such in George Stone's stick control and play these combinations, and you practice these, you can practice them on your drum set and put them around the kit, but practice line, such and such or such and such. They start to connect the importance of all of the things that are important, so that they can sound good on the drum set, and they don't have to just be so robotic and just play boom boom cha do 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 cha, that kind of thing. So I let them get onto the drum set and get their frustrations out if they have to, and then we'll get down to the business. And then if I see them wandering or getting bored, then I say, okay, now let's put the triplets on the kit, and then we'll go back to the kit. And so that keeps that hour entertained for them. Otherwise, because I don't want them to hate the lesson, I want them to have fun while they're learning.
Well, that's a good point, because I mean, if you've anybody that's taught, you can tell when somebody's not interested, because you'll send them away with an assignment and they'll come back and they're almost worse the next week. Then there's little if any improvement.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I want to sort of duck back for a second. You mentioned you're getting a lot of ladies. Yes. Do you think that that's because they've seen you? Do you think it's access to information that people have now that they might not have had before? What do you attribute that to?
Well, I kind of wonder the same thing, because just as little as 8 to 10 years ago, there were hardly any female drummers. You knew Cindy Blackman and drummers like that,
right,
were around, but there weren't a whole lot. And then all of a sudden they have just come out of the woodwork, and there are some amazing female drummers out there now. And there's a Facebook page called Drummer Girls United on Facebook, and the lady that's kind of oversees it and started it up, when she first started it up, I think she said they had like 20 or 30. Now they have 7,000 ladies.
Wow.
But now they're not all professional drummers, but they're ladies that are taking lessons. They're doing Drumeo or whatever it takes, because they've learned, and hopefully, they've seen my stuff, and they've learned that it doesn't matter what age they are. If they really want to do it, they're going to do it. And it gives you something to do during the day. And if you're not working and you're just home, sitting down and knitting a sweater is not nearly as fun as playing behind a drum set.
Absolutely.
That's my opinion.
And you should see me knit a sweater, Dorothea. It would be pretty at all. So, I mean, and so you piqued my curiosity. So, you have your students, and you say you're playing, and what's your own regimen in terms of how much time you're spending on the kit and what you do? And because um, there's this, and I follow Drumeo a lot, and some things that came out the last 2 or 3 weeks are the 10-minute shots where don't over practice, do it in shorter cycles. And what's your regimen when you go?
Well, just like earlier, I was fixing dinner and my practice pad is on the bar in the kitchen. I was cutting onions and fixing some pork chops and everything. My practice pad was right there, just pushed down a little bit. So once I got everything in the oven, I picked up the practice pad. I turned the weather on because we're supposed to be getting,
There.
this Idalia hurricane coming
Yeah.
through. So I had the TV on, but I was doing my just, warm ups. I was working on my left hand, just, and I was trying triple stroke rolls because I saw someone earlier on Instagram and they were flying with their triple stroke rolls with traditional grip. So I might do that. I might pick up my sticks 5 or 6 times in one day, but only maybe for 8 to 10 minutes at a time. And then there are other times I might practice a solid 30 minutes, just keeping. So I'm keeping up my chops. I'm not really learning any new rudiments or anything because I already know all of them,
Right.
but I'm not getting stale. So when I started drumming in 8th grade, I'd have to get up for school and go to school. So while my mom was fixing breakfast and I had already been dressed and downstairs, I went straight into the dining room and we had some kind of little thing that I practiced on. And it might have been 5 minutes, but I worked on like 5 stroke rolls or something. And then finished breakfast and, checked the time. And I had to walk to school, do maybe 2 or 3 more minutes just on that 5 stroke roll because we had rehearsal the next night. I'd come home for lunch. I'd go straight. I wouldn't go to the bathroom or anything. I would go straight to my practice pad with my sticks, play. My mom would say, "Eat your lunch and then go brush your teeth. You got to go back to school." I'd go back on the pad, even if it was a minute. So when I got home from school, it was the same. And before I went to bed, if you added up all of those minutes, it might have been a couple of hours before the day was over. And that's really what it takes. If you want to be good, but you don't think about drumming, like if you're in your car driving, don't you think of, you're on the steering wheel? Don't you like pat the steering wheel?
All the time, or I'm clanging my teeth, or I'm kicking my feet, or
Or
absolutely,
my toes are going inside of my shoes? That's
absolutely.
the sign of a real drummer. If you don't ever think about drums until you say, "Oh, I got to practice," and you pick up the sticks, you me, I would have practiced all day long in my brain so
Yeah.
that I was ready for right, left, right, left, right, left, left. So when I picked up the sticks, it's not going to be as foreign as the kids or adults now that want to be a drummer but don't spend that quality time thinking about what you're going to be practicing when you do get to your sticks. I think that makes a big difference.
And as you were saying that, you had me a question I just thought of. Do you sometimes, as a practice technique, use visualization? So you might not get to sit down, but you're in your head, your hands are going, and you're practicing
Oh
the
yeah,
rudiments and the
yep,
rhythmic and whatever.
always,
Yep.
always. So this September, well, yeah, in a few weeks, September, I think I went and signed up for the drum corps 60 years ago.
Wow, that's
60
incredible.
years. And so that's how long drums have been in my brain. 60 years.
Incredible. There was a very funny piece. I think it was on Drumeo where it was obviously you've probably been asked about it a bit. I pride myself on not asking questions you've been asked 1,000 times, but I had to ask you this. It was basically you auditioning for a band and you show up and they're um did you have a lot of input into that when you did it, or was it something that they kind of fed you to do?
I think they fed me the whole thing when I
Okay.
got there. They said, because I when I got there all the way out to Vancouver, they said, "We've got some fun things planned for you." I said, "Okay." Well, then the next day when we went in to film things and all, They said, "We're going to get you to do a little acting." And I was like, "What?" And then, you know, we're going to go into a music store and you're going to be looking around and the guy's going to say, uh, violins in the back or whatever he says, you know. And then you're going to go up to this, up the stairs, and this guy's going to be playing a guitar and he's going to ask you, you know, blah, 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 if I'm playing too loud. And so that was all staged by them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do this because I wanted it to be good for them. Well, it turned out that when we went to dinner that night that after it was filmed, and they said we hope to get about 1 million views off of that, and I was like, oh my gosh, no way. Well, on Facebook, if you look up that particular video, it has over 90 million views.
I know it's great, and you know, and it's having saw that before I met you. I mean, my your personality rings certain. I mean, we were texting to kind of set this up. Um, I can tell your personality, like, and I just get the feeling that you know, I would hope that you're to the point now where it's not, oh my God, she plays drums. It's like, oh my God, there she is. She's the one that plays drums. I hope that's where it is for you now.
Yeah. I can go to the grocery store. I can go to Walmart or wherever, and somebody will come down the aisle and say, "Do you play drums?" They recognize me. So it's been fun. I'm just doing it for fun, just to give myself something to do.
Well, and then, you know what? That's incredible because, you know, in a world of where everything seems to be a competition and, you know, people compare this to that, that for somebody who obviously has the talent that you have and the experience to say, I'm doing it for fun, but you're helping other people learn. Um, I think you're in one of those positions where it's like a lot of people would be quite envious of where you are and what you've been able to do.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I had a comment from somebody on, I think it was on my TikTok on one of the videos. And he said something like, "Oh, there she goes again." You know, it was like disgust. And somebody made a comment, you know, "Where are your videos? Are you jealous?" And blah, blah, blah. And then he made it like a nasty comment back again. And it was like, wow. Because, you know, I'm not the greatest drummer out there, but I think that I've been helping a lot of people who wanted to play drums or used to play drums and are now just getting back to it. And they're having questions answered just by the stuff that I put up. And they love it. They love that there is somebody like that that is helping them. But this guy, he was just like, he acted like I was the stupidest, worst drummer ever.
And that's unfortunate because I mean, if I may, and this is not just because you're here. So I suffer from carpal tunnel. I've had it for years, and there's been a couple of things that I've seen you do when you're doing your videos that it's like, oh, I'm going to try that, and it's helped. And so I'm not just saying that because I'm interviewing you. It's straight up. And I mean, again,
Oh,
for you
good.
to be able to have the
Good.
platform to do that, I think is amazing. And then half these guys that are probably chirping you online, you could probably kick their butts, no problem, if you know, if you're a spiteful person. So I mean, you know, who cares, right?
I'm just happy to help. And like I have people message me on Instagram and say, you know, what can I do to help my left hand? And I'll make a video. And if they aren't a private account, I'll just go in and to their DMs and send them and answer their question right there. And just because I enjoy doing it, I don't do it for money. Now my students that I have regular, you know, they pay me, but if somebody has a question, I'd be glad to answer it and help and show, you know, how the left hand in traditional works. I had to do that several times, and it's
Well,
just, you know, I'm just trying to spread the word, and hopefully other people will enjoy it as much as I do.
well, and I can certainly vouch for you because when I messaged you, it was less than 24 hours you get back to me. And again, we had a funny little exchange going back and forth, and I totally appreciate your time. I guess last two questions I have. So that beautiful drum kit that you have there, your kit and your cymbals, what do you play? What's your weapon?
All right, so tamburo drums are handmade from Italy, and they saw all of my, you know, followers and some of my videos, and they offered to give me this drum set so that I could, promote it for them because they were just coming into the country. They're well known in Italy, but they weren't well known in the States. And so uh, then I've even gone to Percussive Art Society in Indiana, and so I'm in their booth promoting their drums. But you would not believe how good these drums sound, and the bass drum. This one's just an 18-inch, and it is amazing. So I really love the tamburos. And then Paiste was nice enough to come to me and ask me if I would like to start playing Paiste. And so, I have some awesome cymbals. Like, I don't know, have you ever heard of the Formula 602 15-inch?
Yes,
I
I
think
have.
these are Vinnies, and these are sweet. These hi-hats are so nice. And I had always played 14s, and I even had a pair of 13 HHX. But I heard that the 15s were killer, and so I said, well, I'll try them, and I absolutely love them. And so everything is Paiste. This is the Formula 602 also, Vinnie's Modern Essentials. And then this is the Dry Ride 20-inch. But I have a Masters over there in my pile. I have a 22-inch. And then I have the Formula 602 Vinnie's 20-inch ride too. So I have 3 different rides. And then this is a 19-inch. No, 18-inch extra thin, and that's really nice. And then the 22-inch swish. And then some PST stacks, which are fun.
Well, that's a beautiful looking kit, and I'm sure it sounds amazing. I can see you get a little PA system set up there, so that's probably so your students can hear you when you're
Yes.
doing your lessons.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be respectful of your time. I know you have a student coming, and time is money. I really want to say thank you for doing this. It was so nice to meet you. And I'd love to follow up with you again. Where do my viewers find out more about the wonderful Dorothea Taylor?
Well, come to my social media. It's Taylor Dorothea Dorothea on both TikTok and Instagram, and then Dorothea Jose Taylor, because that's my maiden name, Jose, on Facebook. And then YouTube is, I think it's just under Dorothea Taylor.
Fantastic.
I
And
don't
best,
put much on YouTube as much as I should. I always forget about YouTube.
yeah, it's a tough one sometimes. So I also want to say we're gonna I'm up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We're gonna kind of miss the hurricane. We're gonna get the tail end of it, but best of luck with that because I know
Yeah, because
that season.
it usually goes up. It usually goes
Yeah,
all the way up the coast.
we got Fiona the year of one of actually it happened on the night of one of my birthdays, and I missed a surprise birthday party when Fiona happened. So best of luck with that. It's so nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Um,
You too.
yeah, I really appreciate you doing this. And ladies and gentlemen, go check her out.
Thank you.
Bye for now.